Welcome along to Obsession Engineering and welcome back to Cadwell Park. I will admit to this weekend I was toying with having a weekend off motorbikes and then I decided I wanted to go racing, but by then the entries for Anglesey and Brands Hatch GP were closed, and so I managed to take a late entry in for Cadwell Park, so here we are with NG Road Racing Club. The sun is shining for a change at Cadwell Park, and I've got the BMW and the Super Twin with me, and I've also got in the awning the Truelove Brothers. So Harry's on the little R6, which is a proper weapon, and Matt is on his M1000rr BMW, which we run at British Superstock. They're both British Championship boys. We're just, in effect, having a bit of fun, getting a bit of testing in, and hopefully it'll be smiles and trophies. So before we actually get riding today, we are scrutinized and we're sort of ready to go. So let's have a little bit of a look at the bikes. This is my Generation 3 BMW. As you can see, it's almost a Superstock bike, except I run different calipers on it and I've got some Marchesini wheels for it. I even have a fancy front suspension potentiometer in there as well. Right, away from standard, it's got the sort of BMW proper HP map in it, and it's unlocked so I can use calibration kit and change the fueling and ignition and stuff when I want to. We've also got Bitubo gas pressurised fork kit in it, fancy switch gear and bits, a Bitubo pressurised proper twin tube rear shock, so that's a bit of bling, usual chain and sprockets assortment, an HM quick shifter which is solid state so you don't get quite as much play as you do with a normal one, so it's a bit more positive, and all the race legal stuff, GB engine covers, shark fins, that sort of thing. So that's it. That is the bike I normally run at TT, but being as there isn't one this year, it's having to wait. Right, next along is my Super Twin. I say my Super Twin, the Brewer Racing Super Twin. Now this is a Chinese CF Moto NK650, but with almost all of the Chinese bits taken off. The frame, the crankcases and a few of the other engine bits are original. The swinging arms actually are their sort of adventure bike thing, and it's actually quite a nice arm. 675 back wheel, ZX10 front end, again with Bitubo cartridges in it. AIM dashboard with GPS for lap times and stuff like that. Big fairing, tuned engine, big airbox, 4 throttle bodies. It's quite bling. Right, the boys have actually reappeared. They've just been off for some breakfast, so when we can actually focus on them. That's Matt and that's Harry. He's the one who causes all the trouble. Somebody else looks after Harry normally. Right, let's have a quick look at their bikes while they're here. So this is Harry's little R6. These are proper British Championship bikes, so this thing is a little jewel of a bike. It's got a Kev Stevenson Rev to Race engine, it's about 135 horsepower. Olin's blingy fork kit in it. It's all Motec ignition and ECU and everything. Proper Olin's sort of latest spec shock in the back of it. But this thing has got quite a lot of sort of titanium fasteners and bits thrown at it to keep the weight off it. It is bang on the minimum weight limit for British Championship. It should really be the best 600 in this paddock by quite a mile, because to be fair, it's one of the best 600s in any paddock. Right, and then we've got Matt's M1000rr. Now this is one of the new M1000, so it's got the silly wings on the front. This one for some reason has a silver swinging arm when most have a black one. Right, into the really bling things. That is a sort of latest spec K-Tech through rod rear shock with suspension potentiometer and bits on it as well. The linkage in these M's is all adjustable, the swinging arm pivot's adjustable. Compared to a normal BMW, aside from the engine being different, it's also got different yokes and the frame is actually different. Right, these are K-Tech's through rod cartridge kit, so they're kind of bling. And then if we turn it on, this is the latest sort of kit ECU and kit stuff, so it does fancy things and flashes lights at you, so that's all quite trick. Turn that off for now. Right, the wings are quite a thing. Ignore the gaffer tape, these ones are not brand new anymore. Right, compared to the standard bike as well, it's on these uprated Nissin calipers, we're on alpha discs, and the M is homologated with carbon wheels, so we have to run those for Superstock. That thing is trick as you like. You might think it looks like a normal one with wings on, but really it's an homologation special, and they are a little bit special. I say special too often. Anyway, right, it's time to put some leathers on, and it'll be free practice before we know it. Here come the boys. We're not just taking photographs of biffa bins. Here comes Harry and Matt. I think they've been riding around together. I'm not saying these boys are a bit tiny, but they are first and second in that session by a reasonable margin. So yeah, I think they're quite good. I might even give them a hand putting the paddock stands in, because I'm nice like that. 31.6, 32.7, something like that. Yeah, about a second between, and then you've got about a second again to the next guy. And to be fair, I suspect that tyre's probably had enough by now. So Harry's one's not looking so bad, but the 600 isn't going to kill him as much. But no. Did you enjoy that, Harry?
Yeah, I loved it.
So what we do between sessions here is we'll just have a little bit of a look at some of Matt's data from his BMW. He'll have had a look through Harry's data as well. And what we've got on this one, this is our sort of braking page, but it really gives you suspension travels and throttle and bits. This line at the top is lean angle. The blue line is front wheel travel. The little red line is shock movement, and then we've got brake pressures, and at the bottom we've got throttle positions a bit. So what we can get from this is we can get a maximum of how much the fork has moved during that session or during that lap, and we're 126 mil of travel. The fork has got a bit more movement in it than that because they're quite a long cartridge in these. So we do know we can actually either soften the front or take a bit of preload or something off it if we want to. We have that option. And we can also look at the averages for the lap, which is there, which is 52 mil. And then what we do is we've got an idea where the data should be, what the averages should be and what fork travel we should get, same for the rear shock. And then sort of we can adapt the bike a little bit using some of the feedback from Matt as well to see if we can improve it. Because for example, if he comes in and says he's not got a lot of feel for the front, or maybe it's not doing what it wants mid-corner, we can look in the data and see exactly what it's doing. So for example, we're on a maximum fork travel there, and if I move that and then move it back again, I'll go there. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see this is the braking area. On the little map, this is the braking area into the bottom of the mountain. So this is the brake pressure, so it hits the brakes there, and you see the fork doesn't actually move that fast. Doesn't dive and bottom out straight away. It bottoms out later when he's just starting to turn in. In fact, when he's nearly full lean angle. So at that point there, he's at 51 degrees lean angle. The fork is sort of fully bottomed out near enough, or as much travel as we've got today. You can see the shocks, obviously middle of each stroke as well. And here's a really interesting, this is what separates the quick boys from the slow boys. He gets off the brake just there, and he's on the throttle again just there, which is the difference of, if I go to it, that's the brake fully off. That's about 0.1 of a second from brake fully off to throttle on. And that is a lot of the difference between what Matt's doing and I suspect what I'm doing. So what I need to do is learn a little bit from this, and then hopefully using the data we can help Matt go faster and maybe help me go faster as well. So it's lunchtime on the first day. It is warm. It is meant to be 28 degrees, and I believe them. Just been out on the Super Twin, 1 minute 42 something, so I know there's a bit of pace left in the bike. Bike feels alright. It's hot out there, and I've got a little bit of traffic on a couple of laps, but it's not too bad at all. That puts me 15th overall on the grid, but we're sharing the grid with the 600, so I don't actually know where it puts me on the Super Twins because the sheets aren't separated yet. Needs for me to speak. Right, then what else is going on? To try and get Harry a little bit more sort of feel in the front of his R6, we've dropped the forks through a little bit to try and give a little bit more load on the tyre. But you know, he's going okay. Matt's bike, we've made a little bit of a fork adjustment, nothing too major. The big difference for these boys is they've got new tyres in, and they are fast enough to actually use them. So that's it, it's lunchtime. I've eaten half of Matt's chips, and that's as good as this team gets, really, I think. The good thing that's happened this afternoon is me and Matt have had loads of practice at our race starts. The bad news is every one of them involved getting off around the first lap and getting a red flag. Actually, the first time I think we made it to lap 2. First lap, first one, a couple of people slid off at the hairpin and somebody's obviously hurt themselves. So that took a little while to tidy up. The second start, a lad stalled on the grid, and even though they started the race and everybody was clear, they red flagged it anyway. Not quite sure of the logic to that. And then they restarted us, and then the air ambulance turned up, so they had to stop us. And then we've sat around for about half an hour now in our leathers, expecting to go out for a race, and we're now, I think, actually getting our race at the end of the day. So that's a bit disappointing, especially being as I'm sort of slowly turning into a sort of terrible, sweaty, horrible mess inside my leathers. So yeah, unfortunately that is sometimes what happens when you go racing. Not everything goes to plan. Harry, tell me, how much do you love motorbike racing on a hot, sweaty day?
Oh, like a solid 2.
Out of
20.
Oh, that good.
10.
I'm sure you must enjoy yourself when you're actually riding your motorbike.
Yeah, it's just all this sitting around, isn't it?
Not quite knowing when you're going to go out.
Yeah. I don't know, I'll probably be R4 before I actually get to ride my bike. So.
That's like being a BSP then.
Basically, yeah. Except less laps.
Yeah, much shorter races.
Yeah, much shorter races and all the sitting around that I don't like. Mega.
Brilliant. It's gone well then, hasn't it?
Oh, it's spot on. Love it.
Right, so it's all got a bit chaotic this afternoon because we're behind schedule. All the races have been cut short. And now Matt and Harry have had to go because they've actually got something else they had booked tonight. And we didn't actually think there'd be enough time to get all the races in, but because they've shortened everything, they're rattling through, and I've now got the twin race in a few minutes, and straight after it is the big bike race, is the power bike race. So it's all got a bit chaotic, and I won't have time to come up here to change bikes. So luckily, Jacko's going to run the BM down to the holding area for me during the other race, and yeah, I've done a lot of sitting around this afternoon, and I've had a lollipop, and it's all been lovely, and now I've got to go racing again. It's a bit chaos. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be good fun, I think, probably. Right then, that is the end of day 1 at Cadwell. I've just done 2 races back to back, and I am hot. They're only 5 laps each. To be honest, having sat around for all the afternoon, 5 laps was enough. It is hot, and it's sweaty. And to be honest, I thought I'd go a little bit better than that. The Super Twin was alright. Did a couple of like 1 minute 42s, but my start wasn't very good, so not quite sure where I finished. It just, you know, wasn't particularly brilliant. It was okay. And then jumped straight on the big bike, and it took me a little bit of time to get into it because it feels, understandably, completely different. And in that, I was being a bit lazy. I think I was just running into the corners, off the throttle a bit too long, and sort of front was pushing a bit because of that. Not running enough lean angle anywhere, so I need to put my finger out on that. I might make a couple of little changes for tomorrow, nothing major, just a little bit of ride out in the rear to get it to turn a little bit nicer for me. Yeah. Pesky bandits. Yeah, that'll do. That's day 1 done. Come back tomorrow, hopefully go a bit faster. Thanks for watching, and join us again very soon for day 2 from Cadwell Park, when there's actually going to be some onboard race action.